Well, hello everybody, Smith here and welcome to a benchmark video. Today we're in the new Dirt 5 and we're going to go and try all the ultra settings. So we're going to give you some benchmarks for the actual live gameplay for the ultra high settings for 4K, 1440p and 1080p because it is an interesting game. The fact is it's a more like a next-gen console game rather than a high-end PC game. The graphics are really good, but I'm used to be able to set them all up, and as you can see from the screen, it's quite simple in terms of setting it up. Now, I've had a couple of problems with 4K in that you've had to set the monitor up prior to starting the game because it doesn't actually detect the 4K, even though I've got a 4K monitor. So that's the only issue I've had. But you can see now we're in 4K. We can change the setting at any time. This is the setting it sort of drops to, default setting, but there you go. So we're going to do 4K, we're going to do the 1440p, and then we're going to do the 1080p. So we're going to start with 4K, guys, because that's what you're probably here for. And I've set everything to ultra settings. So there we go. I'm just going to literally confirm that. And we're all right with the resolution. We're going to go back and we're going to use benchmark mode. Now benchmark mode is great because it gives you a set mode. Set sort of does 2 laps around the track, and here we go. So guys, we're in 4K. I'm not going to show the whole benchmark. I'm just going to keep showing different bits of it for fun. So we're at 40 frames a second here. We have got the RTX 370, as I've said at the start of this video. We have got the Ryzen 3800 XT in here. For some reason at 4K, I can't get a particular app to work, so we can just go by this. We're hitting about 40 frames a second on the ultra settings, as you can see. There's a lot going on in this game in terms of like the planes flying around and stuff like that. So some of the ultra settings can be turned down. I will show you what high settings at 4K is, because that is actually playable, but I would not advise playing this game at 40 frames a second. It's still pretty smooth because it's designed to work on consoles as well as the PC. And it's got those sort of, I would say, console graphics, but they're looking pretty good. But you've got these planes flying around, and you've got all these particles, all the leaves and stuff like that. So, but it's still, you know, if you really want to push it to 4K on a 3070, you can do, as you can see from this. So what we'll do is we will skip to the end, and I will show you the end screen, i.e. max, minimum, and average frames per second at max settings. So you can see here, guys, we have for ultra 4K settings, we got average FPS of 36.8, which for racing games is just not good enough. It looks very nice. Minimum 6.4. There was a little mini spike in the middle, which I haven't seen before, and max FPS is 47.8. So what we're going to do now is we're going to change it to the high settings. As I said before, we'll go into here and go to video settings, and we'll just go down to high. It doesn't make, you know, if I switch it back, the sort of darker shadows and stuff. But for me, I don't think you will notice too much in this game going awry. The sort of slight things that change. So let's go, and we will go and do the benchmark for this. So this is the start of the benchmark, and we've got over 53 frames per second. It's a lot smoother. Still, you know, on a 3070 RTX 3070, it's that card is designed for 1440p, as you'll see, and I don't think you'll notice too much at 1440p, to be honest. You'll just get the smoother, higher frame rates. This monitor is a ROG 27-inch 144 Hz 4K monitor, and we're at 144 Hz. When I played it at 60 Hz, you will notice some screen tearing as well, but we're not getting screen tearing on this because of the 144 Hz. There are also slightly higher frame rates on the 60 Hz, but it's not enough to make any difference. But it just shows the different settings. And also, guys, I'm going to do quite a few benchmarks on the 3070 and the 38XT before I get the 5900X, hopefully in the next couple of days. So we're going to do some new benchmarks for that to see how the new CPU shapes up in terms of adding to the frame rates and smooth. So there you go, that's the high settings. And as I say again, we will get to the end and I'll show you the benchmark at the end, but you can see the water effects and stuff. And what I'll do is, in fact, I'll wait for the end of the benchmark. We'll do that and I'll just try some real world gameplay at this sort of settings to see how it matches in terms of rain and stuff like that. So we'll wait to the end. So here guys, we did get quite regularly over 60 frames a second on the second half of the course, but it averaged out 57.5, minimum 17.6 and maximum 68.3. So finally on the 4K, we'll just come back a minute and come do the next one, which is we'll go down to medium settings and I think we'll see some difference. But what's the point? I say you might as well be in 1440p here, guys. So we're going to show the benchmark and I'll show some of the other bit of the track towards the end and see how it goes. But we'll see how it starts off. I'm expecting far better frame rates here. Yeah, we're up to 70 frames a second here, but obviously only on medium settings. So around here towards the end of the track, well not towards the end of the track, a different area, it just sits here at 68, 67, depends on where you are, but it's perfectly playable in medium settings. Although as you will see when we get moved to 1440p, I think you'll be playing in 1440p on this card. But it's got really good depth of field still, so even though on medium it's not fallen too much, but I can definitely see the difference here. So there you go guys, that's medium settings, 4K, a good 67 frames per second, but I don't think you'll be playing in that particular mode. So we're now going to go back to 1440p and show you what that looks like. So we'll go and change that and go back to max settings, video settings. So we're going to go down 1440p and we're going to go back up to ultra high settings. Right, let's go and do the benchmark. So we're getting a good 60 frames a second at the start, which is moved down to 50, right? So what we're going to do is skip to the end to show you some of the end bits. This is 1440p, ultra settings, maxed out. Now because I've got an ASUS overclocked 3070, it usually comes out of the box overclocked at 1800 megahertz, but all the 3070s I've seen, the RTX 3070s, all run at 1980. And my card literally in this game runs flat out at 1980 megahertz the whole time. So it's maxed out. And you can see here again, we're up to 60 frames a second here in ultra settings on 1440p. Perfectly playable for playing the game, absolutely great. And it looks really visually stunning. I think though the sweet spot will be the next setting, which will be the 1440p high. I think that's going to be the sweet spot for the 3070 RTX. It is really nice though, isn't it? As you can see, really good graphics. So there you go guys, average of 54.8 or 55. It sat there without really, and it actually is playable. 1.8 minimum, that's when I press the record button. On the software I'm using, which doesn't have an impact really. I've tested it both ways, and so the last thing what we're going to do is before on this one, let's just go and we'll just go and play something in this to see if this is perfectly playable for you. I can't get Afterburner to run with Dirt 5 today. I got it running yesterday, but Afterburner at the moment doesn't seem to be compatible with this game, or is it Dirt 5 is not compatible with that? So let's just go, boys. Nice graphics, it plays. I think it's perfectly playable. We're at 65 frames a second. You can see here 48. It's perfectly playable, guys. However, I think if I'm looking for the best times, I know for a fact that I want high frame rates. So I'm using the controller, I'm not using the wheel, guys. But I've used controller for years, so I would say I'm quite good at it. And I've been around this track a couple of times, he says. So you can see, you know, it's looks pretty damn good. It's on a par to any other next gen console racer. I think the graphics are very bright and lovely. If I cut this corner, I'll probably get knocked off. But there you go. Nice 56 frames a second. Right, let's do the high settings then. So I've just put it into high settings, and what I'm going to do is go straight into that arcade game again, really. Just go and pick it as such. And we'll do the same again in high settings. I don't think you'll notice too much difference, to be brutally honest. So I think this is sort of the super sweet spot for a 27-inch monitor. Obviously, if you've got a smaller monitor, it will be slightly faster. And if it's in 60 hertz, look at that, 80 frames a second now, guys. 70 frames a second. So this is a sweet spot. How much worse has the picture got? I'm really not sure, guys. I'm really not sure. It's a proper arcade racer, this. It's not Dirt Rally. Let's put it this way. If you're looking for a bit of Dirt 4, it's not the same. It's a different game completely. It's quite fun. It's not my cup of tea because I'm more into simulation. It's a nice game. It looks pretty good. I can't wait to get it on the 3080. And when we get that 3080 RTX 3080, I'll be doing some more tests because I think that will play this game at its max settings. But you can see here, guys, it looks pretty damn good at high settings. And it gives you, look, 80s. Oh, I'm going to get told. Oh, I thought I cut the corner too much there. Yeah, so you can see now 80 frames a second, high settings, so you can get some good times. And hopefully stay on the track, but it's very hard to talk. But it looks pretty good, doesn't it, in the rain? Right, okay, now, so we'll just do the benchmark in this mode because we haven't done that, and then we'll move on to 1080p. Yeah, it's the same here, guys. You get 80 frames a second, although when I've turned the video back on, it's gone. There you go, back to 83. It's stabilised again. So the benchmark will be say. I will say that. So obviously, I've got the overclocked 3080. If you were able to pick up the Founders, sorry, 3070. If you were able to pick up the Founders edition of the 3070, or one of the £529 cards, which is slightly overclocked, that's really all you need to do. I would not go for the full overclock cards unless you got the money, because like this has just still been sitting at 1980, and when I downclock, when this goes in gaming mode, which runs at 1770, it goes at 1925. So yes, there is a slightly higher final overclock on it when it runs, but literally I would say just get a mid-range overclock card. You really don't need to go and waste another $100 or 100 quid. So this is the final benchmark in the 1440p set. We're not going to go to normal settings, as I say. So 82.1 guys, which is, you know, absolutely brilliant. And just to finish off that, you've just got to look at the settings. So those were the settings. 1440p, high settings, absolutely run a dream. So that is your sweet spot. So I'm not going to go to medium because the medium just ups the frame rate. So we're going to go down to 1080p next, guys, and just put it into ultra first of all. So guys, it still looks perfectly playable in 1080p. It's okay. The trouble is I'm not able to play it higher, so it's good fun. Yeah, it perfectly plays well at 1080p. So 1080p Ultra, guys, 61.8, 62 frames a second, perfectly playable at 1080p Ultra on RTX 3070. But if you're buying one of these cards, it may be 1440p. So I'm just going to quickly run through, do the other two benchmarks and show the frames for high and medium settings. So there you go, guys. 1080p, high settings, 99 frames a second. Oh, there you go, to finish off. In medium settings, which I don't think many of you are playing on an RTX 3070, but there you go, 122. So the sweet spot for this game, guys, is 1440p for a 3070 RTX 3070. Sweet spot is 1440p at high settings. and that is pretty damn good. So my view is if you haven't got a 1440p monitor yet, you should actually invest in one, and then invest in the 3070. But there you go. Hope you enjoyed this video. Once we get the Ryzen 5900X, we'll be doing some more again on this game, and we'll be doing it once we get the 3080. But there you go. Hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks very much indeed for watching. Bye bye for now.